3, and then the 70s are back Friday through this weekend into early next week.
All right, that does it for us at noon. I'll see you back here at 4.
Next stop,
Chicago, and we have plenty to talk about. I'm your host, Anita Blanton, and I will be here through 4 p.m. I know it's one of those Tuesdays that kind of feels like a Monday for many of us if you were off yesterday, but welcome back. We've all got to kind of get back in the groove of things. Let's talk about some of the things that we have lined up for this first hour together here as thousands of Chicagoans are wrapping up those trips from Memorial Day weekend. Gas prices have been a big topic. In the city, we've reached our highest levels in 4 years. But you know who's kind of seeing the opposite side of that? Indiana. We're going to talk about why they're seeing some of the lowest numbers in a long time shortly. Also, there have been plenty of calls to action to improve the life expectancy gap in many areas throughout Chicago, especially on the west side. You know, it's crazy to think that there are decades of a gap between those who live downtown and those who live on the west side, and more specifically in West Garfield Park. So it's great to see some people are answering the call, stepping up to the plate. I'm going to be talking with those connected to the new Sankofa Village Wellness Center on the west side. That's coming up shortly. And then also hundreds of rideshare drivers across Illinois are rallying down in Springfield this week. It's the last week of the session. Lots has to get done. Lots of voices that want to be heard in that time. And they are specifically demanding legislators pass a rideshare drivers union bill. One of their reps is going to be zooming in with us to tell us more about why that is they feel needed. But you know, one of the bills, no, maybe the bill that's getting the most attention in Springfield right now during this session, that is the mega projects bill. It could determine whether the Bears continue to stay the pride and joy of Illinois, or whether they move on down to Indiana. It is that big of a difference that we're talking about here. Obviously, Indiana chomping at the bit to say that they've claimed victory in this battle. The Bears want tax certainty. The Cook County Treasurer's Office is looking into the wide property tax ramifications Illinois lawmakers could be signing on to for that bill, and what it could mean for you. Adam Grimm is the Cook County Treasurer's Office an analyst, and he's joining me now. Thank you so much for your time.
Hi, thanks for having me.
And let's just talk a little bit about, you know, first and foremost, what made you all do this analysis, do this report?
Sure. Well, the Cook County Treasurer's Office, we are the property tax people, so we thought it was worth taking a look and providing some context for folks from the property tax perspective. There have been a lot of numbers thrown out about what the Bears might pay, but there's not been a lot of discussion of what individual homeowners and small businesses that don't qualify as a mega project, what they'd be paying.
Not just the Bears that we have to consider here. There could be lots of other businesses that fall under that mega projects for years to come.
Yeah, and then we're talking about tax breaks of up to 40 to 45 years, and for projects that start at about $100 million of investment, which could really be like a 10-story skyscraper in the West Loop. There's actually 4 or 5 projects underway in the city of Chicago that would qualify as mega projects as they're defined in the bill. So it's not just the Bears, and it's we've got to assume too that a lot of the mega projects would take place in Chicago, skyscrapers, things like that. And Chicago has definitely got its issues with property taxes.
Mm-hmm. So were you surprised by what you saw when you started running the numbers here?
I think I was a little surprised that there hadn't been a great deal of projections coming from the legislature about the potential impacts here. When we looked at it's difficult to find like a comparable value for a stadium. It's not like homes, there aren't a bunch of stadiums up for sale, changing hands year after year. So we consulted some experts and we came up with, I think, an estimate of what the Bears tax bill that's probably more in line with what it would actually be. And then, we also had an estimate of what they might get under this legislation. The legislation would basically freeze their property taxes as if the property was vacant land, and then they would pay on top of that amount. They would end up paying what they call a pilot payment, a payment in lieu of taxes or a special payment. So we estimated that they might pay $14 million a year in combined property taxes and a special payment. And that amounts to about a $40 million a year property tax break. And that's pretty significant if you stretch it out over 40 years.
It is. So what do you feel property owners should take from this? I mean, there is this, I think, hunger to want to keep the bears in Illinois. It does not look, the bears have said, that Soldier Field is an option anymore. But these are the numbers that could hit people for going to Arlington Heights.
Well, from a property tax perspective, or just from a public investment perspective, the costs at Soldier Field are sunk. That the construction has been done. We are still paying off debt with hotel taxes in the city of Chicago. And so, this would be staying in Soldier Field certainly means not taking on any more public expenditure to accommodate the Bears. But I think, again, it's the Bears, and it could be any number of other really big projects. Those projects can bring a lot of jobs. They can bring economic development independent of what happens on their site, and those can be great. But I do think we need to look at the other point of economic development is to grow the tax base so that we can have an overall, generally spread the costs of government and services across more and more valuable property. And so if we take all of that property value and we put it to the side because we've given out tax breaks, we have to fund the services for government, our schools, our roads, our firefighters, our police officers, all of those things that you and I as homeowners and small business owners are paying on. Just because we are not mega projects doesn't mean that we don't have a considerable tax burden that we have to pay as well.
Well, extremely considerable. I mean, this is one of the major issues that people have talked about for quite a long time, but especially over the last couple of cycles of bills that have gone out, is looking at the increases in property taxes and just, trying to figure out where can people get some relief here.
Mm-hmm. Well, the bill does take a stab at doing some property tax relief. Those payments, the special payment that the mega project would pay on top of its taxes, about half of that is supposed to go to property tax relief. 40% of it would go to people across the state, which is spreading a relatively small amount of money across a lot of folks. And then some would stay for local homeowners. So there is that element in there, but it doesn't really spell out sort of how that would be awarded to folks. And, to your point, when you talk about the big swings that people saw and the big increases in their bills in the city of Chicago, a lot of that happened because the property values in the loop, your commercial buildings, people don't go into offices. So office buildings wrote down a lot of their value. And so that shifts the burden of paying taxes to the places where property values stayed a little more stable. So residential neighborhoods started taking on more of the burden. And in this case, we would be adding new development with a mega project. But again, if we don't build up that tax base, then the tax bills for individuals, aren't going to get any lighter.
Mm-hmm. What are some other things that your office specifically are starting to say, like, hey, we should probably do some analysis on?
Yeah, my boss has been calling just today and this week looking for some sort of a fiscal impact studies. Could we get a better sense of what other taxpayers might be on the hook for? We certainly know the size of the breaks, at least in terms of very broadly, that developers could be in line for. What will be the impact there? And could there be some guardrails just to make sure that the municipalities and the taxing entities, the schools, the mosquito abatement districts, that everybody is able to continue to offer the services and to provide the services they might need to service a big mega project that requires more police protection or new fire equipment.
Yeah, and I mean, you mentioned the various entities that we typically see on our property tax bills, right at the top of the list usually are the schools. We've seen the teachers union down in Springfield vying hard to make sure whatever they work out, however they work out, they're even getting more out of this.
Yes, obviously, across the state, I think about 60% of all property taxes that are collected are for schools. And in the case of the Bears Stadium, is a great example because there are 2 or 3 school districts up there, and combined, they are about 53% of your tax bill if you live in the Arlington Heights area where that stadium would be. So they are jealously guarding the revenues that they need. If that is a mixed use development, there'll be a stadium, and also they talked about like a residential neighborhood. And so they, if they get a couple hundred extra kids in schools, they need to hire teachers, they may need to build new buildings. There are considerable costs. And so there are some attempts there to sort of insulate schools from the impact of these breaks. But I do think that, that just goes to show that those sorts of guardrails are possible.
Is it odd to you that we're still having these types of discussions with so very little time left in this session?
I think there have been some wrinkles thrown. I think it's a contentious issue, so that makes it hard for lawmakers to sort of find their way, I suppose. It's, I guess, not surprising that there would be a lot of action on this late in the session as the decision point nears. But yes, I mean, the Bears bought this property 3 years ago. I think we've known what they wanted to do. So perhaps this has more to do with some of the bigger projects that might be on tap or facilitated that would benefit from the mega projects bill. I don't know. It does sound like they've got a lot of work to do by Sunday.
It sounds crazy. By Sunday. I do think that typically anything that is a major point of contention that multiple people have to sign on to, and really then signing on means that your political career hangs in the balance of whether it succeeds or fails. You do typically at the last minute have a lot of wrangling, a lot of people saying, well, I want this, I want that, make sure this is in there, make sure that. But just to even like conceptualize all of this conversation, and Sunday is the deadline, it's like, Indiana's just been sitting back for quite some time. Like we've already wrapped all this up. We've already had the conversation about property taxes with people who live in the area, and we're kind of bringing all of these things to the table now.
I don't know how much planning has been done in Indiana. I have looked at, they did at least do a fiscal impact statement that would look at like how much revenue they would generate from the various entities that they are trying to, or taxes that they are going to add to try to pay that $1 billion they've offered the Bears for their stadium. But I don't know that they have like a formal site review or, a traffic study. I know that is a difficult site. I used to be a journalist that covered that part of Indiana for several years. And the site that they're talking about is either adjacent to or, in the footprint, they have like an EPA Superfund site. And that seems like it would require a lot of analysis that may or may not have been done yet. But they do seem to have a blank check ready at any point out there in Indiana. I might be a little concerned if I lived in in Lake or Porter counties about my property taxes going forward. But yes.
Yeah, a concern for sure, but they are sitting with the blank check for. It's a concern, yes. Should you be concerned? Probably, but they do have a check ready for them, and the governor there, Mike Braun, has come back around even in the last few days to say, we're here. When you're ready, we're here. So yeah, we have not gotten to that point in the state of Illinois yet. But thank you so much for coming on the show to talk to us a little bit more in detail about the analysis that you were able to do here. I think it's very valuable to a lot of people, as there are so many things that folks still want to know about this bill before it's actually a done deal for Illinois. Thank you so much, Andrew. We appreciate it.
No problem. Thank you.
Take care. Have a good rest of your day. It's about 1:15, everyone. Give us 2 minutes and we'll be right back. Hey, welcome back, everyone. It's 1:17 right now, and we're moving our conversation forward here to talk about another debate down in Springfield, but this one is for rideshare drivers. They're looking to unionize, and I have Freddie Guzman, who is here with me right now from the Illinois Drivers Alliance, and I would love to hear more about the timing of you all's fight right now. Thank you for your time.
Thank you for having me. I'm happy to be here.
There's so little time left in the session. Why go down to Springfield now?
Well, for many drivers like myself, it is crucial for us to get our voices heard. I myself was a victim of an unfair deactivation. I have literally 6 months left where I'll be forced to go on welfare due to that activation. You know, we have the Uber and Lyft offices are closed. No one for me to talk to. Who do I talk to? Where do I go to get some help from Uber and Lyft for my specific situations? But there are thousands like me out here. So that's why we've gathered today. We've come down here to make sure that we are getting heard and express our concerns and our everyday problems that we're going through because of this type of situation.
When you say unfair deactivation, what does that amount to? What's going on?
So basically right now, if you search on the internet, you can find websites that say how to get a free ride by accusing your driver of something terrible, which is what happened to me. Someone made a false accusation. I had no recourse to go to. Uber deactivated me, and then that transitioned on to Lyft because of a Chicago law. And as I mentioned, with no office to go to, I can't go to anyone. If I call Uber or Lyft, it's just an AI that I talk to. They don't understand nuances of situations like this, and they don't know how to differentiate between something that is, good or bad that would, resolve a situation.
And so you all are saying it's bigger than just going back and forth with Uber and Lyft, that there needs to be some added protections for you.
Exactly. We're fighting for, for some kind of job security. Like we need Uber and Lyft to, as we are vetted with, we having to go through a process with going through like a background check. Uber and Lyft should also take the responsibility of vetting their passengers. To this day, you can still open a fake Uber or Lyft account by just using like a gift card. They said that they were going to fix that. They didn't do that. You can still open a fake account using just a gift card. So we need them to vet passengers just as much as they vet us by going through some type of process that would help protect us as drivers, in addition that will also help protect the passengers the way that we get vetted.
Go ahead.
We're also fighting for other benefits like health and welfare. We need to see doctors. We need to see dentists, vision doctors. We don't have that. We're also fighting for things like, other benefits like short-term, long-term disability. These are just many of the things that we're fighting for. It's not just unfair deactivations. It's for better pay. The primary thing is better pay. I have to work now for an 8-hour day that I used to work for. Now I have to put in 14 to 16 hours just to get what I used to get working in an 8-hour day. That's exhausting. Nobody wants to work 15 hours a day. We just want to work a regular 8-hour day, go home to our families and help support our families. So there's many things that we're fighting for.
What changed in terms of why you're having to work those longer hours and to kind of equal out to what you were getting before? What changed?
The payout. Uber and Lyft have taken such a large chunk of what we used to get paid that we can no longer afford to to have with maintenance of our car, to help pay insurance premiums, to help pay for gas. Gas is a huge thing with the way that these gas prices are. So what I used to work in 8 hours, I now have to put in the work of a 12-14 hour day just to make what I used to working an 8-hour shift. Uber and Lyft claim that we get a certain percentage. That's absolutely false. When you factor in fees like app fees and like general fees and another fee for this and another fee for that, well, then Uber takes a cut of that. Well, what about these other fees? You're already taking out from the pie this fees for this, that, and the other, and then you take money for yourselves. What do we get left with? Nothing. It's pennies. When you average it out, when we as drivers, we run this like businesses. When we do the average, it's below minimum wage. We cannot live our lives with what minimum wage is. We just can't do that.
Do you feel like, that you're getting some support down there in Springfield?
For some legislators, yes, but we still need the majority of them to come to our side. We see them every day. We're trying to talk to them every day, and we are trying to share our stories, and we're giving them stories like, for me, for example, I have to support my elderly parents. I have to work. I need the flexibility of working, either a couple hours in the morning, a couple hours in the afternoon, or in the evening, so that I can be available there for my parents. So for me, that flexibility is very, very important. My parents are old. They can no longer get around. They need drives to the doctors, this, that, and the other. So, allowing me that type of flexibility is super important. And sharing that story and to our legislators and representatives to let them know that this is important for us. But if I have to work now a much longer to make what I used to, working X amount of hours, I don't have time to be there to support my parents. But in my case, I was deactivated, so I haven't been working since October of last year. It is really important for me that the legislators and the representatives call this bill to vote now, so that I don't have to go on welfare starting in January. I have 6 months left to be able to not go on welfare, and then just to work to help support my parents.
Let me ask you this. To your knowledge, to the Drivers Alliance, have you all looked at, like, are other states unionizing the rideshare drivers in other states?
Sorry to interrupt you. Absolutely. Just today, Massachusetts passed their law, and they are in the middle of certifying as of today. So Massachusetts has passed legislation. They're moving forward with creating a union. We're hoping that here in Illinois that happens. We're desperate for it. We need it. There's thousands of drivers that are in a very similar situation like me that need to tell. We need to tell our stories to these legislators to let them know that we're suffering. We're not trying to depend on the state. We are proud individuals. We want to work. We just want respect. We want to be acknowledged as humans that are doing this for a living. We have families to support. We have parents to support. We just want the respect of getting paid a decent wage. We're not looking to become millionaires. We're not looking to buy boats and yachts and things like that. We just want to put food on the table to help support our family, our children, our families. So it's those things that are important to us. We're not trying to become rich. We're just trying to live the American dream. I'm a proud Mexican, but I'm as red, sweat, and blue as they come. So I really need this bill to be called to action today, so that I can not go on welfare and I can continue to work. I can get my case heard in a office in Chicago, so that I can go to somebody and say, here's what happened to me. I need someone to listen to me. Here's the evidence that I have to reactivate my account, so that I can work and have a flexibility to be able to be there for my elderly parents.
Rideshare driving obviously is nothing new at this point in time. So have you all been down to Springfield before to try to rally for this?
We're coming down here every Wednesday. We've been coming down here since January of this year. I myself was all of here of last week, and I'm going to be here this week, trailing my stories to all our representatives, to any representative that's willing to talk to me. So I'm out here every day for the past 2 weeks trying to talk to our local representatives.
And has anyone kind of explained to you all why it hasn't already been done?
No, they have not, but the majority, do express support, because it's going to cost the state nothing, from what I understand. But yeah, it's for the majority, everyone supports us. There are some that are listening to us that are kind of 50-50. We try to get as to why, what 50% of that doesn't, what is it that you don't agree? But, sometimes they don't share that information with us, and we just have to share our stories and say, thank you for listening to us, and then move on to the next representative.
Yeah, I would just wonder, what's the holdup? Is there like a financial issue, or is this, are the companies talking to these lawmakers and maybe sharing a different side of things? If there's no cost, then you just kind of wonder what is the holdup here.
Honestly, so that part I'm not sure. I'd have to, get you in contact with one of our, people in the administration that could answer that for you. As to what's the holdup is, honestly, we do not know. We don't know what the holdup is. All we can do is just come here, share our stories, and then move and try to move the campaign forward.
Okay, well, I certainly hope that you will keep us updated. Obviously, there aren't many days left, and there are some really big things on the table for these lawmakers to take up just in the next few days here.
Absolutely, yes, yes, it is.
Are you at all concerned that this isn't at the top of their list?
I can't say honestly. We hear that they have a lot of things that they have to do. It is definitely at the top of my list, and it's at the top of thousands of other drivers in Chicago. It's on top of their list, so it is for us. As for the legislators, who can say? I really don't have the answer to that.
Mm-hmm. All right, well, keep us updated. Thank you so much for your time here today. We appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
Take care. It's 1:28, everyone. Give us 2 minutes, and then we're going to get into our conversation about the gap in life expectancy here in the city of Chicago and throughout our area, and talk about what's being done about that on the west side. Hey, welcome back, everyone. 1:30 right now. We're waiting on our conversation about the Sankofa Village. That's going to move to a different time. But while we are waiting on that, we want to take you to a NASA news conference. This is on the moon base plans, the progress toward a sustained presence on the lunar surface. Let's hear what they have to say.
This new vehicle is smaller, lighter, and can accommodate up to 2 crew, which is what we asked for during Ignition Day, to be able to test and develop the capabilities as we go. Again, it has autonomous capabilities, it can be teleoperated, or of course the crew will drive it. CLV-1 has a maximum mass of 950 kilograms and can reach speeds up to 10 kilometers per hour. Astrolab is also building the Flip Rover, which has a lot of the features that will then be carried over to the lunar terrain vehicle. Astrolab is using subs like Odyssey Space Research, Axiom Space, and Interloon as the subcontractors for that. So imagine the first rover, because we're going to have cameras, we're going to have payloads, roving around Mars and basically bringing us with them in real life, going to places we have never seen of the moon, testing us and giving us key ground truth data so we can build on that. Again, one round of applause for Astrolab. Congratulations. The second LTV provider, which I'm going to announce now, is Lunar Outpost. In response to NASA's moon-based initiative, Lunar Outpost unveiled a new class of rover called Pegasus, which is what we're going to deliver to the surface of the moon. Pegasus is a pared-down version of Lunar Outpost Eagle lunar terrain vehicle. Pegasus is a lighter weight and will be ready to fly on earlier missions as we've asked and demanded. They will do things like autonomous driving, terrain mapping, and identify future potential moon-based sites. Pegasus can carry up to 2 crew members and travel 10 kilometers per hour on the lunar surface and, like I said, go through steep slopes and terrains. They're partnering with General Motors, Leidos, and Goodyear as key subcontractors for the vendors. So give Lunar Outpost a round of applause. Congratulations. These awards are incredibly important to the next steps of phase one because we have to be able to move around the surface and start looking and gaining the knowledge we need to build up on the moon base. Part of that also is Moonfall, which is the lunar drones that we advertised during Ignition Day. Moonfall is the first lunar drone capability that we're going to have, and it's going to accomplish different objectives. The first is demonstrate the technology. It is going to be the first robotic mobile platform with the range to quickly explore sites interesting at the lunar South Pole. Like the administrator discussed earlier, the variances in lighting, thermal gradients are gigantic on the lunar surface. And we basically have a range of like 1 meter dedicated information on the different areas we want to go to. So in that 1 meter, if we're wrong, or if we're off a little bit, those ranges of 400 or 500 degrees in temperature can be a key aspect that we need to overcome. So these drones will allow us to go, cover a broader range of areas that we prospect and get that ground truth. It can demonstrate the ability to take off and land in multiple locations with precision under South Pole lighting conditions and terrain features. Also, it will utilize available electronics so we can develop them quickly and deploy them where we need. One of the key things that we want to put on these drones is survive the night technology. So not only can they accomplish the mission, they can hop, go to multiple locations, but they can also survive the long lunar nights. So when they get sun again, they can serve a permanent objective wherever they ended up at. It could be observation, it could be communications, or something else. Another key objective is site characterization, so we'll be able to map the surface at centimeter scale resolution, not meters, centimeter scale resolution, allowing us to beef up our orbital databases and reducing the risk for future landings. It will prospect for water and ice in the subsurface of the moon. It can go look into the surface of the moon about 1 meter in depth across tens of kilometers. It will also characterize the radiation environment before we send other assets or crews to the surface and provide a geodetic framework for navigation using retroreflectors. Wherever we put these drones, it will provide much more of a capability for precision landing for whatever landing is coming into that area. And then we'll have cameras, of course, on all of them and be able to observe around the territory. The next objective is imaging. So in the picture that you see on the screen, you have the current capability on the right and what we're going to provide on the left. So high-resolution imagery across all mission phases, including the deployment, the landing, and nominal operations of, staying in situ or hopping around. It will continue image collection during extended mission, and it will analyze different sites for unprecedented detail and basically allowing us to build our understanding of soil mechanics, the terrain, the lighting conditions in situ of wherever we want to go. It will help us build a digital terrain map of different landing sites on the moon and prospect moon-based sites. So all of those things are going to be critical for continuing understanding of where we're going. The last part I wanted to talk about that we're hoping to achieve is to establish a moon-based perimeter. With 4 or 3 lunar drones, Moonfall, we're going to be able to basically put them at the corners of the areas where we think we have either key scientific objectives or we want to build up the moon base. And maybe in their final hope, like I said earlier, we can give them a function, potentially be a beacon, provide those retroreflectors to be able to get more precise landing, even be the first lunar cell tower if we choose to do so. By coupling the survive the night technology with different instruments and of course cameras for observation, it'll give us a tremendous capability. And like I said, for phase 1, Moonbase is just a demonstration of capability. We hope this will work out and we'll be able to evolve that capability. I'm picturing the future of Moonbase where we're starting to plan areas where we're going to send the crews or rovers to robotically go to a specific crater or area of interest. We can deploy these drones. Some areas we can even reach with lunar terrain vehicles or rovers. So this could be a critical capability to allow us to get to those objectives. So something has to take the lunar drones, Moonfall, to the surface of the moon. And today we're ready to announce that JPL, our partner developing the Moonfall drones, has selected a carrier spacecraft, and that is Firefly. All right, congratulations. Big round of applause for Firefly. So Firefly is going to build a version of its Elytra dark orbital vehicle for this mission. Firefly's first vehicle is built on the same systems that successfully landed and gave us that mind-blowing video of reaching the surface of the moon. That was the CLIPS Blue Ghost mission that flew and successfully landed last year. They're working with JPL on the part of the mission called Cruise, Deorbit, and Braking Stage. So the Elytra vehicle will basically carry the drones from Earth into lunar orbit, then slow down, and at a certain altitude, it will deploy 4 or 3 drones that will then take the mission on their own hands. They'll finalize the landing. They'll land probably about a mile apart from each other and carry on from the mission there. This is a very exciting mission that you can see a picture of the carrier vehicle there. We can't wait to get started and actually see these things deployed. Congratulations, Firefly, and glad to partner with you guys on this. All right, so we're done with the award announcement, so a big round of applause for all of you. Now gets the hard part, which is delivering on time and having successful missions back to back. Okay, now I want to talk about what is on the lunar horizon. So the first one I want to talk about is CLIPS 1.0. During Ignition Day, basically we said we're going to use the CLIPS construct, which was doing scientific commercial service payload delivery to the surface, to continue on and provide the landers that will carry our assets to the surface. And we declared 2 things. We were going to contract for the LTV delivery service, which we just announced, and we were going to also expand the number of missions to carry payloads, whether scientific or technology demonstrations. Those announcements are coming back and coming up in June. So stand by for that, and we're going to declare the award winners for several of those missions to add to the Moonbase portfolio. We're also working on additional task orders for low and mid-sized class landers through 1.0 to potentially deliver additional technology demonstration payloads. So all of that is also coming up soon. And then in Ignition Day, we talked about CLIPS 2.0. So 2.0 is really the next generation lunar cargo landers. We are accepting proposals to that June 30th, and early in the fall or even late in the summer of 2026, we'll announce the companies that are eligible to participate on that. And it's going to be a very quick turnaround between making those vendors eligible to when we start contracting those missions. CLIPS 2.0 is built on the successes of CLIPS 1.0, but we're giving ourselves more flexibility. There's going to be ability to do tax orders on end-to-end service. There's going to be ability to basically just buy a lander and be able to couple that with launch service and also technology demonstration payloads, which we may procure or build on our own, and we'll be doing the integration of all of those missions in-house. Again, full end-to-end service, in-house, or a combination of. And we're going to be using that and advertising providers eligible and missions through CLIPS 2.0 with the next generation landers pretty soon in the next coming months. And then one of the things that we were wanting to do pretty fast is basically establish the architecture, set the priorities for the technology that we're going to need in phase 2, and then map that to the tech demonstrations that we need to do in phase 1, all these landers we're just talking about. We've narrowed.
Okay, exciting times, of course, for NASA. Coming off of the success of Artemis 2 mission, I mean, they have so many plans for what is next, and that is NASA advancing the development of Moonbase, a long-term lunar exploration and infrastructure initiative that's designed to enable sustained human presence and expanded scientific and commercial activity at the lunar South Pole. Getting to the moon and want to get there for a sustained period of time. So we were looking at some of the landers that they're hoping to get. They announced the partnership with Firefly that's going to bring about some new things too. And you could hear them saying, now comes the hard part. I mean, they had a lot of great announcements today. But now comes the hard part. First and foremost, to be on time with everything that they are looking to do, but then also to have successful missions back to back. I mean, we are coming off of a doozy history, and everyone is feeling so, inspired by what we all just watched. I mean, could you take your eyes off of the TV or off of the screen that you were in front of? I mean, at one point, I think it was during the landing, I couldn't stay in front of a TV for the whole time. So immediately, as I'm walking out, I had the phone, walking with the phone, trying to watch and make sure everything went okay. We have available so many different screens now to be able to watch it. I couldn't turn it off, though, is the whole point that I'm making, because it was so... It was a moment that you waited so long to see, right? That for a while we've just kind of had static-ish kind of movement for NASA, but then to see this major exploration moment happen was really a wonder to be able to witness. So now comes the hard part of being able to do another successful mission to push that barrier even further, to get sustained life on the moon. And so they said there will be some more big announcements coming in June. The landers, the CLIPS 2.0, all of those things, can they stay on time? Again, we all hope and pray they can have another successful mission, especially when we're talking about humans, once again going up into space. We always want a successful mission. So we'll see if they can do that successfully, and that means also being on time. We'll see. It's 1:46 though. Give us 2 minutes and we'll be back. We're hoping that our next discussion will be with Gas Buddy, so we can talk about these prices, the good, bad, and ugly. Hey, welcome back, everyone. It's 1:48 right now. Before we get into our next discussion, I want to take you to Washington State, Longview, Washington. Not much that you can see in this live picture, but we do want to let you know they are waiting on a press conference about a pretty serious incident that's happened here. Multiple people hurt and possibly even fatalities after a major chemical explosion at a plant in Longview. This is coming from the city's fire department, where they say that they responded to a hazardous materials incident after an implosion involving a vat of what's called white liquor chemical treatment product at the Nippon Dynawave facility this morning. That white liquor product is like sodium hydroxide and sodium sulfide, and so there are multiple people with chemical burns now, critically injured. Others, again, that the fire department is saying have passed away. So we don't have, specific numbers on that just yet, but we do know that they have about 550 employees there at this plant. So just as soon as we get more information, if they pop up that press conference, we'll take you back there live. They are saying, officials have said, there's no immediate threat to the public, but residents were told to stay away from the industrial way in that area while emergency crews are at work. So hoping for the best for those who have survived. Very unfortunate that they are reporting fatalities, but when we get more information, we'll be passing that along to you. Listen, we know a lot of people have been traveling over the last several days during the Memorial Day holiday. Maybe you had a 3-day weekend, or maybe you turned it into more. And we've got to talk about the gas prices, the pain of it all for those of us in Illinois, and where people are getting some relief not far away. We have Patrick DeHaan, head of petroleum analysis for Gas Buddy, back with us. Thank you so much for coming back on the show.
Oh, thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
All right, what are we seeing here in the state of Illinois? What are our averages? How bad does this get?
Well, it's been getting a little bit better here over the last week. That's the good news. Chicago's metro average is down about 18 cents a gallon from where it was a week ago. The problem is prices are still above the $5 a gallon mark. We're at $5.05 a gallon in Chicagoland. But if you've been across the border to either Wisconsin or Indiana especially, you're still seeing sub $4 prices, especially in Indiana with its gas tax holidays. But we're moving in the right direction for now. We may continue to see gas prices inching lower for a good part of this week, but how long that continues is really going to be impacted by any developments between the U.S. and Iran, as negotiations have been ongoing at a very high level. We've also seen new attacks, the U.S. Attacking Iran last night. Will those attacks derail the negotiation process? That's something I'll be watching. Oil prices and gas prices that have gone down in the last week certainly could go right back up if there's new escalations or if negotiations abruptly end.
Yeah, that's super tough because this ceasefire hasn't been a traditional ceasefire by any means from the beginning.
Yeah, I mean, none of this has really been traditional by any means, right? What we hear is a ceasefire, the strait's open, and it's not. We hear things and then things abruptly shift. So, there's not much clarity on the future. And that's what's difficult from this, is there's not a whole lot of communication on what's being attempted, what's happening, and then attacks happen anew. So exactly, this is very much a potentially long roller coaster ride of ups and downs.
And you mentioned the tax holidays for Indiana. Can you explain how they've structured this? Because I thought it was only for 30 days. Was it 60?
I'm trying to keep an open mind in terms of remembering exactly what. Now, it started off as a use tax holiday. Use tax is like a gasoline tax. That was extended now. It started as 30 days. It's been extended to 60. And then Indiana shortly later, about 3 weeks ago, waived the excise tax. I believe now both the end dates have been pushed to June. It's adding up to over 65 cents a gallon of relief. And that's why in Northwest Indiana, over the weekend, I saw a couple stations at $3.77 a gallon. So that'll continue. But there's something to be mentioned, that it's costing the state of Indiana about $5 to $6 million in revenue every single day. Now, there has been some talk of Illinois Governor Pritzker waiving the automatic increase that's set to hit on July 1st in Illinois. although that would only lead to about a penny a gallon of savings. Illinois is one of a rising number of states that automatically re-index. They automatically increase gasoline taxes based on the rate of inflation. And that increase will hit every year on July 1st. So this year, like many past years, we've seen that Illinois is automatically raising its gas tax effective July 1st. But that could be waived or suspended. We'll have to see if the legislator moves forward with any of those.
Have we seen that happen before in Illinois?
We did see the 2022 automatic inflation adjusted increase was suspended for a period of time back in 2022 when prices were also nearly record setting.
I won't look. I'm like, well, I was here. I don't remember how helpful that was.
Well, you probably don't remember because it was only helpful to the degree of maybe a penny or two a gallon. So, it doesn't make much difference to pause the automatic increase. What could make a meaningful impact is if Illinois, like Indiana, waived its entire excise tax, which is almost 60 cents a gallon. But that would also deprive the state of revenue to rebuild roads. And I don't know about you, but some of the highways around Chicago are not getting better with age.
They definitely are not. Very good point. And so would the legislature have to vote on these types of things before Sunday? Or is this something that can be done at any point?
Yeah, I believe it would have to agree on this before Sunday. So before the legislative session ends, who knows what will come together. But I don't believe that this is an authority that maybe Governor Pritzker alone. I could be wrong on that. It varies by state, and there's a lot of different state in and outs that may authorize emergency action or may not. So we may need to see the legislator jump on this. But again, it may only be a savings of a penny, 1.3 cents on gasoline to be specific.
And then how is Wisconsin faring better? What are they doing?
Well, Wisconsin doesn't have the amount of taxes that Illinois has. Again, it's all about taxes on gasoline. Wisconsin's average is $4.33, so even it is quite a bit above Indiana. Indiana today, the average is $3.87. So really the biggest difference between all three of these states is simply taxes. Illinois leads east of the Rockies with the highest taxes. Wisconsin generally has lower taxes, and right now Indiana virtually has no taxes, at least on gasoline, and that's why its prices are much, much lower.
Very interesting. Now, let's say the negotiations move forward very quickly and end to the ceasefire or some type of agreement. What have I heard? A memorandum of understanding goes forward. How quickly could we see things return to what they were? Or now, because we're after Memorial Day, we're kind of in a full different space anyway.
Well, I mean, it all depends on something definitive, right? An MOU is just an MOU. It's not an agreement. We hope to have an agreement, but let's come up with something in the interim so that we can agree at a low level. So until there's something definitive, a signed agreement that covers reopening the Strait of Hormuz, until that happens, we're going to be subject to higher gas prices. I will be the first to cheerlead if there's some sort of agreement, but an MOU, a framework, these are not long-term sustainable agreements. It has to be long-term and it has to be sustainable. And until that happens, the Strait of Hormuz and ships flowing through it are probably going to remain parked. And that, for the same reason, is going to keep our gas prices parked at elevated levels.
Now, I've heard some conversation about, like, could people wondering, like, could blends change for prices to come down? Is that possible?
I mean, not really. The president's already moved as many of the few small levers that he has. He's already issued a Jones Act waiver. He's issued a waiver allowing E15 to be sold. He's allowed a waiver for a simpler type of summer gasoline to be sold. There's only so many waivers, and none of them, as you've been seeing, have really had an impact. So I think what you're referring to, the blends, I mean, regular gasoline is still regular gasoline. The president is allowing a cheaper version of gasoline to be sold during the summer, but that type of gasoline is hard to find anyway. And when it is found, it might only be 5 or 10 cents a gallon lower than regular gasoline. So not much of a savings when average prices are still above $5.
Very good point. All right. Was looking for some type of silver lining there, but
I wish.
Thank you so much, Patrick. We always appreciate your time.
Thanks for having me.
Okay. All right. It's at 1:58 right now, everyone. Give us 2 minutes. We'll be in our 2 o'clock hour. And we're going to start that 2 o'clock hour going down south to Texas. It is election day down there again. Welcome back, everyone. We're now in our 2 o'clock hour. Let me tell you a little bit about where we're going in this hour that we have ahead. So we have a conversation coming up about Grand Theft Auto 6. We know a lot of people love GTA and have for many years, but there's been a little hiccup in getting this new version out, and we'll talk a little bit about that. We're also going to talk about fitness classes that many people participate in on a regular basis. You got to pump the volume up, of course, in the class. They want the energy up, all of those things. But could it be hurting our hearing along the way? We'll get into that discussion, as well as one about, the string of smash and grabs and break-ins that we have seen affect so many business owners in our area. And yet another one of our favorites has been targeted in the last 24 hours. So we'll have the 4th generation owner for Manny's Deli that's going to be zooming in with us as well. All of those discussions are to come. We're going to start off with a conversation about what's going on down in the great state of Texas, because it's election day again, and a lot of money has been going into this primary round, and the voice of President Trump has now weighed in. So we're going to bring in a reporter from our sister station down at KDFW. Thank you so much for coming back on the show, Stephen.
Thanks for having me. It seems like deja vu. We were talking about this a couple months ago, right?
Yeah, but now the field is down to 2. And there's the big question as to, the question we had, a while ago was, would President Trump weigh in? And now it's, what difference will it make? I mean, is this John Cornyn's last, hurrah?
That's what everyone's been wondering and talking about. Of course, this is the most expensive U.S. Senate race in history, and now President Trump in the final hour basically making it even more interesting. As you mentioned, President Trump didn't get in the race during the March primary, and then on the second day of early voting here, there was 1 week of early voting last week, President Trump endorsed his friend Ken Paxton. Now, John Cornyn and Ken Paxton are not really different when it comes to the issues. The only difference, John Cornyn, with him being in the Senate, voted for that gun legislation during the Biden administration with some other Republicans. And so that's really the only ding against him. But President Trump saying that Cornyn was not with Trump, not with him when times are toughest, and Ken Paxton has been with him every step of the way. He was on the stage on January 6th before the Capitol was stormed. He represented, Trump's interest in challenging the results of the 2020 election. So Ken Paxton has really been a longtime ally of President Trump, and now he's in the race. And so the big question is, does that Trump endorsement change things here? And that's what we're hoping to see when the polls close in a few hours.
It's really fascinating to watch this because, one, I can't remember a time when so much money, it's historic in and of itself, but I just can't remember a time when we talked about a lot of money even being put into a Republican primary in the state of Texas.
Right. Yeah, it's a little weird, right? I mean, and then you have two candidates that, while on paper, they are for the same things, but stylistically totally different. John Cornyn has been in office since 2002. He's in his fourth term. He's trying to do something no Texas politician has done, winning a fifth term in office in the U.S. Senate. So he's hoping to do that. Ken Paxton used to be a state representative, state senator, and now the Attorney General of Texas. He's been that for a while, making a lot of headlines, suing everyone he can sue. But he comes with a lot of baggage. And just like President Trump, he seems to keep rising above the ashes. He had a very messy public divorce. His ex-wife happens to be a state senator, so that was drama in itself. He was impeached by a Republican House of Representatives, was not removed from office, though. The Senate not removing him from office, has had investigations, a cloud hanging over him, and still has this support. And so this is the biggest test to see if, one, if people just want something new. John Cornyn's been in office forever. And then two, does the baggage not matter? Years ago, we would talk about politics and that would eliminate someone from a race. And now, in the world of MAGA and President Trump, I mean, these things aren't as big as they used to be when it came to electing people in office.
It's something for sure. I was listening to Tom Tillis over the weekend, who is like Tom Tillis unplugged now that he's on his way out, and he said he called Ken Paxton, an empty sue. I mean, he was just like he would add no value. This is according to Tom Tillis. He said he would add no value to the Senate, and so it is interesting to see. Is this President Trump really trying to put a check on this Senate? Like, there's been a question over the last several weeks. I mean, he definitely has control of the party when it comes to those coming in, it seems. But do you have control of this Senate? And maybe he feels this is a way to kind of corral them. Like, do you see what's happening to him? This could happen to you.
Right. I mean, definitely, in Republican circles, President Trump's name still carries a lot of weight. You saw, most recently in Louisiana, Bill Cassidy, which I tell people it's apples and oranges to this situation. Cassidy was one of the few senators who voted to remove President Trump from office when the impeachment came up after January 6th. Cornyn didn't do that, but Donald Trump went against him, supported his primary candidate, and that primary candidate, beat Bill Cassidy. You mentioned a really good point where, I think behind the scenes, the Republicans are kind of fighting because, Thune, the leader of the Senate, is a close ally to John Cornyn, and said, y'all all know my position. I support John Cornyn. And then Tillis, who, is on his way out, so he's like, I don't care what I say. It's interesting hearing the people who know they're on their way out, so you hear a little bit more honesty and less politics of what they're really thinking. But, man, I mean, the big thing is this, in the words of Ken Paxton, this is a retirement party day for John Cornyn. So we'll see if that's what it's going to be.
It's been it really just, I mean, watching it all. Okay, so here's the thing. Let's transition over to the other side of things, because Democrats have sat back and they're like, Kim Paxton would be so much better for us to run against, because, as you said, the baggage there in the state, forget everybody else watching from everywhere else, the baggage there, the fact that Republicans in your own state, at least the lawmakers, tried to get you out multiple times, and so they would rather run against Ken Paxton instead of John Cornyn, who is an established figure there when it comes to going up against, you know, Tallarico, who's like on his way up. What are you hearing today from people?
Yeah, and Tallarico is actually going to have an event tonight. So, you know, trying to do some counter programming and still getting his voice in there. He's going to react at his event to whoever he's going to face in November. But yeah, the Democrats have been kind of sitting back and chilling, but they're waiting. They're waiting. The national Democrats are waiting, because if it is John Cornyn, you're not going to see as much money spent. That doesn't mean Democrats aren't going to spend money in Texas, but that amount of money that they were preparing to spend is not going to happen because John Cornyn has more moderate appeal than Ken Paxton. Ken Paxton has the baggage, has all of the drama, right? And so it's a perfect storm in Democrats' eyes. They see it as, this is our shot. This is the best shot with the economy where it is right now, gas prices, all of this anger, President Trump with the lowest approval ratings he's ever had, and you mix that in with a not likable candidate, according to some Republicans, Democrats think this could be a perfect storm. But that's only if Ken Paxton wins tonight. If he doesn't, it's going to be a financial uphill climb for Democrats here in Texas.
Now, have we read this script before of the great Democratic hope of Texas that became a major talking point, but then it didn't translate into votes? I'm speaking of Beto.
Right, and some people have called James Tallarico Beto 2.0, right? So we have to see, you know, Beto, when he ran against Ted Cruz, at the time Ted Cruz was, you know, his favorabilities weren't that great, and Beto O'Rourke came the closest that any Democrat has come in some time, but no Democrat in Texas has won in a statewide race since about 1994 or 1995, I believe. And so Republicans are on this hot streak saying, let's keep it going. Democrats think now, with people being more upset, with the Supreme Court making certain decisions, with redistricting that impacts Texas, with Republicans hoping to add 5 seats from redistricting, they think this is all in the mix of helping drive people to the polls in November. We'll have to wait to see if that actually materializes. Like you said, Democrats have said this before. Will there be a wave? Won't there be a wave? Former Texas Governor Rick Perry, I love this quote that he said. He described Texas as like a bowl of tomato soup with a few blueberries in it. Just have those big urban areas, Dallas, Houston, Austin. Those are the blueberries. But, I mean, Texas has a lot of red. But Democrats will respond to that, saying that Texas isn't a Republican state. It's a non-voting state. There's a lot of voters here who aren't going to vote. And so we'll see if Democrats have that energy in November to actually try to do something that hasn't been done in decades.
Yeah, I mean, Jasmine Crockett talked a lot about that aspect of it, the fact that people just don't vote, maybe possibly on the Democratic side because they don't feel like they have a chance at changing what has been.
Yeah, I mean, and then that's another big question that, I mean, we've really not talked about as much, but it's going to come back up definitely in November is, you know, some people who turned out to vote. Now, there was record early voting and record primary turnout for the Democrats in Texas. But some are looking at where those voters came from and said, or were those just Jasmine Crockett voters? And are they going to show up in this runoff today? Or even though, you know, there's still a couple of Democratic runoffs today. But are they going to show up in November? Are you going to see that same enthusiasm? And we have to see if there is a Jasmine Crockett not being on the ballot. Will that hurt Tallarico in some ways? Will that hurt him with minority voters, specifically black voters. So Jasmine Crockett, even though she lost in March, she helped a lot of down ballot races because of that high turnout. There were some head scratchers with certain races. The Dallas County District Attorney race, Amber Gibbons about to be the first black elected woman to be district attorney in Dallas. She benefited from that Jasmine Crockett turnout, and some other elected officials or newly elected soon-to-be officials definitely benefited from that. So we'll see if that is also a factor in November.
It's all very interesting for sure to watch play out. And I heard that there was record early voting even for this primary that we're watching today between Paxton and Cornyn.
Yeah, I mean, and it's hard to really compare, runoff turnout to other runoff turnout because every runoff is totally different, right?
Yeah.
And so 2024, yes, it's less than the runoff for this. In 2022, it's less. I'm looking at the numbers. I think, 829,000 people voted early last week in this runoff. And, so we have to see.
Yeah.
But it's really, we know that this race is totally different than any of the other ones, especially with all of that money that has been pumped in. I mean, of course, we're enjoying the commercials, but all of that money being pumped into this race just makes this such a different race.
Yeah, I would just wonder if those who did vote early, if they were before President Trump weighed in. Would that work?
And we looked we looked at that because the numbers just historically the early voting numbers tend to tick up as the week progresses, right? And so the numbers weren't that high on Monday, a little higher on Tuesday, which is the day that President Trump made his endorsement. And then things kind of shot up Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. But did they shoot up Wednesday, Thursday, Friday just because people said, oh, it's time to go vote again? Or was it because on the Republican side, if President Trump finally made his decision, does that mean more people turned out to vote for Ken Paxton? That's going to be the magic answer that hopefully we find out in about 5 hours.
All right. It is quite the time in Texas right now. Thank you so much, Stephen, for joining us yet again. We'll see what happens.
No problem. All right. See you in November.
All right. We're calling you back up. Either way. All right. Thanks so much. 2:15 now, everyone. Give us 2 minutes and we'll be right back. We're getting ready for our next discussion about Grand Theft Auto 6. Welcome back. Right now it's 2:18. We do have a live picture to New Jersey that we're going to take you to briefly before our next discussion here. The federal agents and protesters, it's been about 200 or so protesters that have been at times really testing the agents' patience. And as you can see right here, now things are pretty calm in that area. This is outside of a an immigration detention facility there in New Jersey, where we've been seeing this. And in fact, some of these protesters are doing a hunger strike. I think they're on day 5 right now of the hunger strike. Obviously, this is over immigration policies for, the Trump administration. We've seen it here during Operation Midway Blitz, and the clashes that would happen day after day, but especially on Fridays for our area here. But we've seen the governor for New Jersey even come out among these protesters, Mikey Sherrill, as she was talking about the conditions inside. Now, mind you, she was prevented from going inside, but some of the reports that she has gotten are pretty disturbing of things that have been going on inside of this facility. It's a 1,000-bed facility. I believe the last thing I heard was that there were about 300 to 500 people inside right now, but it holds 1,000 people. So again, tensions have been escalating over the weekend. Right now, things are pretty calm there as these protesters continue to gather day after day, and some of them are engaged in a hunger strike right now, trying to get things to change there at that facility there in Newark, New Jersey. It's 2:20 though. We're going to go on with our conversations. We'll continue to monitor things there behind the scenes. But we have Tom Caswell, the host of GameSpot's Social Explainer series, who is joining us because there's a lot of people online not so happy about what's going on with Grand Theft Auto 6, or I should say maybe not going on with Grand Theft Auto 6. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Anita, for having me, and excited to talk about Grand Theft Auto.
Have you been hearing all of the conversation surrounding, I guess, was the new version supposed to come out today?
So initially, the game was announced in December of 2023. At which point it got its first trailer to coincide with the 25th anniversary of Rockstar, which is the series of studios that works on Grand Theft Auto. And that was the game was originally announced for 2025. It didn't get a specific release date, but was intended to come out in that year. And then towards the end of, in May of 2025, it got its first official release date, which ended up being today in 2026. And then later in 2025, in November, they actually announced that they were pushing it back further. So now the game is set to release on November 19th of this year, but its first real release date was today. So in an alternate reality, people are lining up to buy their copies of Grand Theft Auto 6.
All right. So many questions. One, what is the holdup? What got it pushed back to November? Or what is the repeated holdup, I guess maybe is the better question.
Yeah, I mean, game development is very difficult, and delays are pretty typical. I would say that most games do not make their first initial release date. I would say the majority of games that get a release date end up releasing later. Something you need to keep in mind for Grand Theft Auto 6 is by the time it comes out, it will have been 13 years since Grand Theft Auto 5.
Whoa.
When you consider... And this is a trend we're seeing in the gaming industry across the board. Everything is taking so much longer to develop because of how, high quality these games are, how much time and energy it takes to develop them. Consider this, from 2000 to 2010, Rockstar put out 4 Grand Theft Auto games: GTA 3, GTA Vice City, GTA San Andreas, and Grand Theft Auto 4. Those all released in the 10-year window. And then the only game that released in the 2010s was Grand Theft Auto 5. A huge part of the reason why it's taken so long for GTA 6 to release is because of the popularity of GTA 5. It is the 3rd best-selling game of all time, behind Tetris and Minecraft. 230 million copies of this game. Right behind that, interestingly, is Red Dead Redemption, which is the kind of cowboy RPG that Rockstar also makes, and that's sitting at 85 million units sold. That came out in 2018, so it'll be about 8 years since that launched. And so there's a huge gap, right? 85 million compared to the 230 million that is sold of GTA 5. So part of the reason has been GTA 5 has just continued to sell. It's still consistently one of the best-selling games, even though it came out over a decade ago. And then you have to also factor in that GTA has an online component, a huge interconnected space where a bunch of players can do, you have the campaign, right? And you're playing specific characters, and then you have this online component where you create your own characters and can do all of the stuff you can do in the campaign just with in a multiplayer setting with other players. And so that still has so many people that are playing it. So Rockstar has been busy continuing to develop that previous iteration of Grand Theft Auto, which wasn't really a thing that happened in the prior in the series, right? Like online was not a huge component. GTA 4 had somewhat of an online component, but it was much smaller. And then, GTA 5 just was this rocket ship that has never stopped taking off.
So I guess I get it from the standpoint of, like, your bar is so high at this point that
Sure.
It takes a while to figure out what is going to leap over your new bar at this point. But then I wonder, are you losing money in a sense with that large of a time span going by? I mean, you said it's still selling, 5 is still selling, but aren't you having to like advance this technologically? I mean, 13 years, it's so much time that, like, aren't you having like catch up with all the changes in just society in that time period?
Well, that's certainly an interesting thing to explore. One of the interesting elements of GTA is it is considered, a parody, a pastiche of American culture. And as we have all experienced in the last decade plus, American culture has shifted dramatically and in many ways more toward parody, right? Parody. We are experiencing way more of a satirical reality than we were in 2013. So that is one of the big questions of this game is how can you do a parody of American culture when in many ways American culture has become a parody of itself? We don't have a ton of details on how they're going to make that feel fresh, but it is certainly one of the biggest questions that we have about GTA 6 going into the release. Then on the technological element of it, yes, that's probably part of the reason that it's been delayed. One thing you have to keep in mind is they didn't actually start full-fledged development. They were certainly working on the game prior to 2020, but the game only fully started entering broad development at Rockstar in 2020. So it's only been 6 years of full development with Rockstar mostly focused on continuing GTA 5. So yes, they are certainly, it might be the most expensive game ever made when everything is said and done. I wouldn't be surprised if that's the fact. But you also have to consider the chance of this selling even more units than GTA 5, which is is likely, or at least matching that sales pace. They're going to recoup, I think, the cost of that development over time. And, like I said, they had that big release with Red Dead Redemption 2 in 2018 that kind of is at the midway point between the releases of the two GTAs. That sold 85 million copies. That game also has an online component that lots of people still play. And, you have, there's ways to spend money in that, microtransactions and things there. So Rockstar and its parent company, Take-Two, have a lot of other things that have come out in that time. So to kind of ease, I think, with the help of how expensive GTA 6 probably is. But in a decade's time, we're probably looking at a similar situation in GTA 6 that we had with GTA 5, where it's like, it's recouped its money tenfold or whatever that stat ends up being.
Yeah, and I guess just as you were talking, I'm like, I guess the other way of seeing it is maybe with those that came out back to back, maybe some of the success of 5 is because there was more of a gap, and that people were, and had to anticipate more instead of it just coming right after the others. And so then that would possibly mean that having to wait 13 or more years for the next one, maybe everyone will be so inclined to go get that next edition that they're like, I gotta have it now.
It's a meme at this point that GTA has taken so long. One of the things you'll see online is people saying, oh, we got X before we got GTA 6. That is one of the most prevalent memes in pop culture. I mean, it's been happening for years. Like, people have been saying that phrase for years, and they're continuing to say it. So the anticipation is paramount. I mean, people will make news and they will read the tea leaves and put their tinfoil hats on of when the next trailer is coming out. Oh, this thing in this poster, it looks like VI, right? Because it's in Roman numerals. That's how they denote these games. They're like, we're getting a new trailer because this poster came out, and it turns out the person that founded Rockstar was born on this day, and the conspiracy theories are wild. But yes, certainly the anticipation that has been built up over that time is extraordinary. And something you also have to keep in mind with GTA 5, it came out at the very end of the PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360 life cycle, like literally 2 months before the PS4 and the Xbox One released, which were the subsequent consoles. So the game ended up re-releasing on those platforms. So some of those sales are people that had bought it on PlayStation 3, Xbox 360, and then bought it again on the new platform. And then in 2020, the PS5 and the Xbox Series X and S released the follow-up consoles to PS4 and Xbox One, and they re-released GTA 5 again on those platforms. So it's, that's something to keep in mind with the sales metric, is that this game has re-released twice. That's how long it's been. And so you have plenty of people that, and with those additional releases, there's been new features, obviously a new fidelity, right? The games look better now. The online components consistently get updates and releases, and Dr. Dre will make an appearance, and you'll have missions with Dr. Dre and all of that. So people who are in the GTA ecosystem who play online, they have been getting a consistent content feed for the last decade plus. So the anticipation is certainly high, but Rockstar has found ways to kind of, I think, satiate GTA players' desires with online updates.
Okay, before I let you go, I think all my grays are covered, but they're there. And, some people may be thinking, like, I have not been a gamer since you could, hit the Nintendo pad on the ground and jump on the track game. That was a lot of years ago. But what is it about Grand Theft Auto that has captured people in such a way?
Yeah, I mean, I think that it is, they set the standard for open world with GTA 3, which released back in 2001. So that was really the game to kind of set the, we wouldn't have open world games the way that we do today without GTA 3. So that was kind of the beginning. And then, like I said, they released 4 games in that decade. So each of one of those just kind of built in that excitement. And because it was the game that kind of set the standard for open worlds, everyone else was playing catch up to GTA and what it could offer. And then you hit this kind of crescendo moment in 2013 with GTA 5, which is hitting simultaneously with, online gaming, multiplayer games. This is 4 years before Fortnite. The only kind of big multiplayer games that exist at this point that have, hundreds of thousands, millions of players are like World of Warcraft. So it just kind of hits at this point where online multiplayer gaming is blowing up. More people are doing that than they are single player games. And then you're also entering this period of time of meme culture in the United States, and we're right at the precipice of that. And so the game and the mythology of the franchise, plus the expectations of GTA 3, just continuously roll into this never-ending kind of natural marketing campaign for this game series. And so it's a bunch of different factors, but I think at the end of the day, you have to go back to the fact that GTA 3 was like the first open world game ever. And it has profited from that initial concept for the last 2 decades plus. 25 years.
It's amazing. It really is amazing. My producer was saying it's like a social media, you know. I mean, it really is amazing how things have changed. I'm like, well, what's wrong with having like duck hunt and having your friend come over and
Well, those kinds of games certainly still exist, but they all exist in Grand Theft Auto's orbit.
or even what was it, Mike Tyson, when he would like punch out and
Punch
then
out.
the arm would get bigger, you know. Well, okay, all right. Grays are covered, but they're coming out. So anyhow, thank you so much for coming on the show. I wish we were talking about everyone having GTA in their hands, or the GTA 6 in their hands, but the wait continues.
Yeah, so it's November 19th is when it releases. And if you want any more updates on GTA, head to GameSpot.com. We actually just had a major overhaul and redesign of our site, so it's a perfect time, honestly, as they start doing the marketing campaign this summer. We're about to head into Summer Game Fest early June. And yeah, so GameSpot is a great place to learn everything you need to know about GTA.
All right.
6.
We'll try to get up to date before November, and we'll definitely, once some folks, you and some other folks have had the opportunity to play this GTA 6, then we'll need some feedback about, was it worth the wait?
I am myself very excited to see what we look like in a post GTA 6 launch society, considering that we have been waiting 13 years. It'll be very interesting.
Thank you so much for your time. We appreciate it.
Thank you, Anita. Have a good day.
All right, you too. Give us 2 minutes, everyone. We'll be right back. $237, and I think our collective hearts hurt every time we see another smash and grab in the city or another break-in for businesses when we know that they're hurting in so many ways. And so we hate that one of our favorites has been added to the list. That's Manny's Deli. Dan Raskin is a fourth-generation owner. He's joining me now to talk about break-in there around 3 a.m. So sorry that we're talking under these circumstances.
Yeah, thank you so much. Yeah, it's unfortunate. The big thing was nobody was injured, so that's obviously the best thing that came out of it. But we're recovering, going to get the window fixed up, and continue on.
Yeah. Did you all have surveillance video? I mean, did you see how this went down? And if so, what did you see?
Yeah, so right at 3 a.m., there was a white sedan that pulled up. Somebody got out of the car and they just took a hammer, broke the window, tried to jump in, but we have staff that's basically here all night. And they heard the noise, and then the second they saw the person, the intruder came in, they saw that there was people there and they just ran out.
Oh my goodness.
So thankfully nobody was hurt, but obviously it's a dangerous world when people are just breaking in to see what they can get.
Yeah, it's. I mean, I can't even imagine. Have you talked to that employee? What went through their head when they, come face to face with the person who's trying to break in?
Yeah, I mean, he was pretty nervous, and I mean, he knows the risks of working, and I mean, thankfully he settled down and relaxed and finished up his shift. And
wow.
I mean, we're just doing anything we can do to help him out and make sure he's comfortable working going forward.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Going forward, is there anything that you all plan on changing? I mean, I don't know that, be it that we've been seeing so many of these, I don't know what all you can do, but are you maybe mulling over what could change to prevent it, or keep you all or the employees safe?
Right. I mean, we're really doing everything we can do. We teach the staff just to, if something like that happened, just to give them what they want.
Mm-hmm.
But there's really nothing you can do when somebody's just making their way in when the front doors are locked. So, I mean, we had an alarm company and alarm system, and I mean, obviously there was staff here. So we're just hoping that going forward that people just don't do that, and hopefully the police are able to catch the person. They said that's the same offender that they've seen in about 4 or 5 other ones recently. So we submitted all of our surveillance video to them, and hopefully they catch them.
And what does it do to you? Like what goes through your mind when you hear it's the same possible crew from 4 or 5 other incidents, your fellow business owners? What goes through your mind? You've seen the videos of this happening in other places, I'm sure, or had conversations with other business owners about what so many people are experiencing.
Yeah, I mean, we just hope that people keep continuing to come to us and don't get scared to come to the city. I mean, this stuff is happening in the middle of the night when people are not around usually, but they just have to continue to support the businesses. And I mean, there's costs to doing this stuff. Like, we're paying to fix our windows now, a cost that we weren't expecting, and the board up. And obviously I came down to the restaurant at 3 a.m. So it was not a fun morning for us, and a lot of cleanup. There's glass all over the place, but we're doing okay, and we're going to get through it. And we're fortunate that we have some great customers that are still coming in and supporting us.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And what have those customers been saying to you all today?
I mean, they're just definitely supporting us and saying that they're going to place an extra order just to help us out, and we're very thankful for that. But I mean, like I said, the big thing was nobody was injured, and we can replace glass. So I'm just very thankful that that's all that happened.
Did they get away with anything?
No, I mean, they were in the restaurant for less than 3 seconds. They literally came in the threshold of the business and saw somebody was coming and jumped right back out, jumped into the waiting car and drove away.
What would you say to these crews? I mean, what would you say to them?
I mean, I just hope that they can find a way to do what they need to do the honest way, and understand that this is people's home and businesses, and we support over 40 people that work for us. And if we have to close down or things are interrupted, that it's affecting this many people, just for them to get whatever small amount of money they thought they were going to get. I mean, there's nothing here. So we're just thankful that nothing bad happened.
Well, Dan, I'm again so sorry that this happened to you all. Glad they didn't get anything in it. My prayers are with your employee, especially who was shaken up in the midst of it. And I do hope that they're caught very soon. Thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you so much.
Take care. All right, everyone, it's 2:43. Let's just go ahead and move to our next conversation here. We've got a lot of folks who are going through some tough times in our city. So it's always nice to be able to kind of balance the tougher stories with a celebration, because there are good things still happening for people in the area as well. And in fact, a huge congratulation is due for the winningest NCAA lacrosse coach from Northwestern. Of all schools, Northwestern has taken home another title, and we're just so glad to have Kelly Amante Hiller, the head coach, with us now. Congratulations.
Thank you so much for having me. Yes, it's very exciting.
We to watch your team celebrating, just in the videos that I have seen, it just does our heart well, and we need to see more of that. Tell me about the championship game. You all were up against North Carolina. Walk me through this game.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, the season started off a little rough. We lost 3 games in the beginning of the season, and our players really bonded together. They looked inside and figured out a way to be stronger, come together, and just really enjoy the experience. And we were fortunate enough to host the Final Four. And this is the first time ever a school, men or women, outside of the Eastern time zone has been allowed to host the Final Four. So to have that moment was really cool. And for us to be able to be in the championship game was just a really special thing. So many fans, so many people, supporters, students came out. We had almost 9,000 people in the stadium right on the lake, a beautiful day. And, it was a really special moment. UNC is a really strong opponent, and the game went back and forth throughout the whole game. And in the fourth quarter, we outscored them 5-0, and were able to take the lead and end the game 14-11 and win this championship. It was probably the most amazing experience of our kids' careers, and even of my coaching career, to have all of those people in the stands, make it be a home crowd, and just really be able to celebrate it together with the community.
But Coach, you have 9 titles as a coach at Northwestern. I mean, you're becoming the GOAT over there. So how does it feel, and how do you do it time and time again?
It's definitely not easy. It's a long process. And, just to get people, a lot of people, we have 40 girls on our team, to get them all to be pulling in the same direction, selflessly, without ego. It's absolutely, one of the harder things, but it's also one of the greatest things they will ever experience. And, I think every year, every championship has been very different, and with different challenges, different ups and downs. But, this is something that I love to do. My husband coaches with me, and, it's just a really, really special thing to represent a university like Northwestern that is elite at academics and athletics. So I just love it every day, and I love the chance to get young women to really be strong and believe in themselves. And it's really not about the winning. And I think the winning is a byproduct of what we do every day.
I love it. I absolutely love it. I always love talking to coaches. You all have, that's what you do, inspirational, mantras for everything. I do want, because you talked about, young women who are on the rise and pouring into them. We did have a conversation last week with a young woman who is a high school student, a high school lacrosse player, and they were like heartbroken because they wanted to be there. And if I have it correct, there was like a scheduling snafu of snafus that their big game was on the same day as you all's big game. So they didn't get to come and witness this moment for you all. And at the end of my conversation with her, I'm like, I totally feel like she's going to be there with you one day. So what do you say to the young girls who were watching from afar or didn't get to be there in the stands but hope to play in that championship game one day? What do you say to them?
Well, I think, you can do anything that you want to achieve. You just have to really be willing to sacrifice. You really have to love what you do at an elite level, and you really have to be able to kind of look within yourself when things go wrong and learn how to find a way. And I think when you have that mentality in life, you really can achieve anything. Life is a gift. What we do every day is a gift. I feel so blessed to be able to coach a sport and work with young people. And I think that the more you can see things with that grateful mindset, the better your life is, and the more chance you have for success. So that's kind of what I would say to young people. Just don't let anyone tell you you can't do something, because the only one that can know if you can do it or not is you. And if you believe it, you can achieve it.
Excellent words, Coach. Excellent words. Now, how do you get back to the game next year? What do you do right now? I mean, I hope you're soaking this in. I hope you have a moment. I know, like, a lot of coaches go straight from big game to recruiting. But what do you do? And what pieces will change from this squad to next year?
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure there'll be a lot of pieces that change, and change sometimes can be scary, but it's always, when it's embraced, it can be amazing, and there's always opportunity in change. And so we will try to enjoy every single moment, try to continue to have some moments with our players before they leave campus, and always stay connected with them, try to help them in any way that we can moving forward when they leave Northwestern. But I think right now it's just, it might not be every moment we are recruiting right off the bat, but I think just enjoy every second that we have. Don't forget to reflect on how special the ups and the downs of the season were, and just relish in the people. The people make the place.
Coach Kelly Amante Hiller, thank you so much. Congratulations, Northwestern women's lacrosse national champions yet again. Thank you. If I could play We Are the Champions for you, I would, and I won't sing it right now, but my hat's off to you.
Thank you so much. Go Cats.
Go Cats. Take care. 2:51. Give us 2 minutes and we'll be right back. Welcome back, everyone. Just about 2:54 right now. And if you love fitness classes, maybe outside of yoga, you know that the volume is always up, right? You got to get the energy up. You got to get the momentum. And you don't really question whether that decibel level could actually be hurting your hearing, but there are some experts who are looking into it. And in fact, we have Ben Keeling from the Schaumburg Belltone Hearing who's joining us. There is a new study published showing fitness classes music volumes can be doing some damage. Thank you so much for your time.
Hey, how you doing, Anita? Nice to see you today.
Nice to see you as well. I don't know that this is something that anyone readily thinks about. You're just glad to be getting in some exercise. Is this one of those not so silent issues that kind of creeps away at our hearing?
It does. I mean, your gym could be causing a silent health problem for you. It has been seen during their studies that we had as many as 106 decibels during some of these classes, and that is very dangerous for the auditory system. Anything in excess of 85 decibels can cause problems.
Wow.
And in some of these classes they were averaging over 90 decibels over the course of a 60-minute period. So what that equates to is you're already receiving loss of hearing when that happens. And when it peaks over 100, you can do permanent damage within 15 minutes. And these people are in there for an hour at a time. They go under the auspices of helping their bodies. In the meantime, they're potentially harming their ears.
Oh my. Now, is it all right if you go to 1 or 2 classes a week, this is still a problem? Or is it if you're in there daily that this becomes a problem? Clearly, I'm trying to find a way around it. But what should we be concerned about? Like, I mean, if someone is going to 2 or 3 classes a week, is this really a concern?
It should be a concern. There's a cumulative effect to being around a lot of loud noise. And we don't want to admit it, but that is the case. There are very, very sensitive cilia cells in our cochlea with which we hear with. And every time you're in noisy places, damage is occurring slowly. And over time, that will potentially pre-age the auditory system to the point where people can develop hearing problems a lot sooner than they should be.
And I don't know if it's one of those like psychological reactions. You know, obviously I have to put a plant in my ear so that I can hear you, and I'm like, as I'm talking to you, I started pulling it out.
That's funny.
Maybe
that's
the psychological
actually,
reaction.
here's the deal. Anything between 70 and 84 decibels is fine, and I'm sure the earpiece you're using is fine. But we're most concerned about the decibel levels that are over 85 decibels. So I don't think people are even realizing it. But what's really interesting about the study that was done and reported is that reducing the volume of the music had virtually no impact on the effectiveness of the workout. There's a common misconception that by raising the volume, that you're going to be more motivated and you're going to get a better workout.
Yeah.
And when they did the study, they found that reducing it really had no bearing on the effectiveness of the workout itself. So turning it up loud is not the way to go.
More things that are psychological, I'm sure. We just kind of equate the energy to the volume level. So when we talk about 106 decibels, what is that equal to? Like, what is that comparable to?
That's comparable to a lawnmower going off. It's not safe. It really isn't. Now, keep in mind, they're not shooting it at 106 decibels the entire time, but it is peaking at that level. And we're talking about potentially irreparable damage at that level. I mean, at over 100 decibels, you can permanently damage yourself in 15 minutes. And these classes are going on for an hour. So it is serious. It really is.
So do you tell people who come to you to go to their instructor and say, hey, can you turn the volume down a bit in our class? Or how do you feel people should approach this?
Well, I think, at Beltone Schaumburg, we try to be honest with our clients, and we try to provide them information that's going to be supportive of their auditory system. And yes, I mean, in terms of a practical takeaway from what we're discussing here, they shouldn't be afraid to go to their gym and ask them to potentially lower the volume of the music. I also tell them to maybe wear their smartwatch or phone with them so they can download an app to show them how loud it actually is there, because they may not even realize how loud it is. For those that are going on a regular basis, we would certainly encourage them to use some kind of a protective device that would help reduce the decibel level. A good over-the-counter device should block a minimum of 20 decibels to help in those louder environments. And what a lot of other patients will do is they'll come to us at Beltone Schaumburg and they'll have us make a special custom piece for them that's specifically made for them and can give them the opportunity of hearing the workouts in a safe and effective manner.
Very interesting. Thank you so much for letting us know. And hopefully we all kind of operate a little better. I mean, you're right about the smartwatch. Like, I'll be in certain environments where that ear pops up on my smartwatch to say, like, this is the whatever you're in, the volume is very loud there. But I don't know that I've ever looked to see if it gave me a number there. I see the ear icon pop up and know what that is for, but I don't know that I've ever seen a number.
No, you haven't with what you're looking at. However, there are apps you can download that will show you the live decibel level. And that is something that I would certainly encourage people to do, just so they know what they're getting themselves into. And the little things mean a lot when it comes to your hearing. Again, we want to do everything in our power to take care of our bodies and our minds. But in doing so, potentially, we could end up giving ourselves problems with our brain by damaging the auditory system. One thing that we also try to strive for our patients, even if they're at the gym listening to their own music, because it's getting louder, sometimes they're turning their own music up louder too. So they're cranking it up so they can hear their music. So we like to try to follow the 60-60 rule. You should never exceed 60% of your volume, and you should never listen to that for more than 60 minutes without giving your ears a rest. Really important.
The more you know. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. You've really shed some light on things for me, and I'm sure many other people today. Thank you so much for your time.
You're very welcome. Thanks so much for having me.
Your time and your expertise. Yeah. 302, everyone. Give us 2 minutes, and then I'll set you up for what you can expect in this final hour here of Chicago Live for the day. Hey, welcome back, everyone. It's 3:05 right now. Let's talk about what's coming up in this final hour of Chicago Live before we turn you over to the 4 o'clock news. So we have at 3:45, we're going to talk about vintage TVs for sale. And I remember going in my grandma's house when I was little, and you had you put the foil. You put the foil on the TV to get a little better reception. Well, those TVs are long gone. Not in most homes, but they're still around. In fact, many of them are sitting in a warehouse on the East Coast, and people are now wanting to put up some good money to go get them, all for a specific purpose, and we're going to talk about it around 3:45. Really interesting stuff to see that, all things old become new again in some way or another. Also around 3:30, we're going to get an update on our weather outside. Man, the weekend, it was a little shaky to begin with. I mean, it felt a little like fall to begin with, but Memorial Day right on cue, summertime. It was great, and today has been pretty nice as well. We'll see where we're going from here, if this was like a faux showing of summer or not. And at 3:15, we'll talk what's coming up in the later newscast with one of our afternoon or evening producers. But first and foremost, as we've been gearing up for real summer, as we've been gearing up for a true change of seasons, we always get excited when a new restaurant is getting ready to pop up, and one that was scheduled for this summer is right along the river, and it's called Naya. And we have the co-founder of the Dynamic Hospitality Group joining me now. Luke, tell me how to pronounce your last name.
You say it as if the I were a Y. Stoyoff.
Stoyoff. Okay. Thank you so much for joining us today. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
I've been seeing the renderings for Naya for quite some time, getting excited like many other people out there. Let's just talk about the concept first and foremost.
So the restaurant concept, it's a Greek Levantine restaurant concept, which is sort of Greece and then moving a little bit eastward towards the Eastern Mediterranean, the Levant region. So this restaurant has been in the works with us now for about 5 years. We have a few other Mediterranean restaurants in our portfolio, and this is our newest one that's going to debut on June 1st.
We're so excited. Are reservations already open?
They opened about 3 hours ago.
Aha, okay. All right. You got to hop on those really fast in Chicago. Whenever there's a new restaurant, I mean, it's tough. It's usually pretty tough for a while. Tell me about the location, because I think that's one of the things that's really drawing people in. It's prime location.
Yes, it certainly is. The building that we are in is 300 North LaSalle. It's at where the LaSalle Street and the river intersect. And we are down on the river level, and we take up almost a full city block on the river between LaSalle and Wells Street. So the office building is a Class A office building with all sorts of large office tenants, and we're down at the very, very bottom, right on the water.
Mm-hmm. When you think of opening new places in Chicago, I mean, how do you try to make one stand out from the next?
How much time do we have for this interview?
We got time.
That's a great question. It's a great question. I think this is a blend of business and art. What we do. This city has so many great restaurateurs, and we're all sort of using somewhat similar and somewhat different processes for that. But I think trying to find our process has been to find something that's missing, a little void that could be filled. To try to create a brand and a restaurant product that is sort of balancing. What we try to do is we don't want to be a place that's just meant for special occasions, and we don't necessarily want to be a place that's not approachable enough. So we try to be right in the center, approachable enough for someone who wants to eat here 3 days a week, or polished and high end enough for someone that wants to eat here once a year for a little special occasion. Mm-hmm. And we try to walk that line and make something where it's familiar, but it's still unique. Those juxtapositions have been sort of a key to our success. And I think a lot of other restaurateurs follow a similar process. But that's a very brief answer to a profound question.
Well, tell us about some of the other things that are in your portfolio, because I do think that, sometimes you hear of a restaurant and you're like, oh, okay, because there's a lot of restaurants in the city, but then you hear about the group and you're like, oh, I know what they've done before. I know that this is going to be something to see and to experience.
That's a good question. So we've opened up many restaurants in Chicago, some of which are Sienna Tavern, Prime Provisions, Bar Sienna, Bombo Bar, Lyra, Lacerre, Bar LaRue. What else here? We got Violi out in Oakbrook and in Naples, Florida, and a few others that we've been working on over the last 20 years or so, my business partner David and I. And we kind of had a little bit of a broad range from what we've done. Everything from French to American to steakhouse to Italian. And now doing a more Eastern Levantine brand is what's happening next. So those are what we've been up to for our lifestyle restaurant.
So you're not new to this, you're true to it, but let's say someone is trying to get a start. Like, how do you start a restaurant?
Start by questioning whether or not you're sure that you want to do it. Because when you think you're getting into the food and wine business, you're really often getting into the HVAC, electrical, plumbing, mechanical, construction business. This is a very difficult industry because it's more than just the problems that would come about by any standard. Running any business is challenging, but this one is almost like a living organism. It's alive. It has a soul to it, and so it's sort of like creating a Broadway show. You have to have a theater, you have to have a script, you have to have actors, you have to sell tickets, you have to do that for an audience multiple times a day. And I guess the only difference is that when people come to this show, they're often hungry and they're often a little tipsy, so it makes it a little bit more difficult. But no, I think starting out very simple is just fundamentals, making sure you have ask questions and educate yourself on the numbers, and making sure you have your lease or your property interest dialed in properly, and making sure you're budgeting appropriately. I think some of the fundamentals of any business model are as simple as thinking about how you might open a lemonade stand and talking about working that out and writing things down and being organized. And that's how it starts, just with basic economics and basic business 101, and then it grows into much more than that.
Mm-hmm. How do you address flooding concerns or things of that nature with the location that you have?
Well, this location in particular, the restaurant itself was assessed about 30 feet off of the river. Our patio was taking up that space. And it's also, I would say, probably about 2 to 3 feet elevated above the seawall. And then the seawall is another 8 feet above the water. So we're above the river substantially enough to where, we're not like level with the water. We're above the flood zone. So it would have to be a pretty significant flood to actually get into the property itself. But that's definitely a concern. I mean, absolutely. The engineering that goes in, a lot of the stuff that you see when you open a restaurant, the most expensive stuff is stuff you don't see. It's the stuff on the roof, in the basement, and in the structure. So a lot of infrastructure has been reinvested in this building to make sure that concern and others are abated.
Okay, what's your favorite dish on the menu to start?
My favorite dish is the Turkish dumplings, which is sort of a reimagination of a classic Turkish dumpling. It's called a manti, but we've done it and we've made it sort of our own twist on it, which is sort of like a cacio e pepe flavor profile, set up in a Turkish dumpling format. For a layman, I would say that a manti is sort of like a small miniature like Polish pierogi. Only we've done that with a cacio e pepe flavor profile. I first tasted it and I couldn't believe it. It was fantastic. But that's just one. There's many things. I think another favorite would be we're doing a lot of mobile cart activations. We have a spritz cart that's going to be activated on our patio for faster cocktails. And we're doing a tableside hummus cart as well. Both of those dishes, the hummus cart, we've heard of tableside Caesar. The tableside hummus is going to be sort of like a take on that, but it's going to be a really nice cart set up with all the accoutrement. And we will come with steaming hot pita and this really nicely emulsified hummus, and we'll add different accoutrement to it based on preferences. And those two, I think I'm most excited about. Those two were brainchilds of my business partner, David, who I deserve full credit for thinking of them. And I'm really excited about those two in particular.
Well, I can't wait to give them a try. I'm going to hop on and try to get in there just as soon as I can. I was at one of you all's restaurants, Fioretta, just a couple days ago. So I am familiar with your excellence, and congratulations on the new addition.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I really appreciate your time.
Yep. Take care.
Have a nice day.
Same to you. Looks beautiful out there as he's talking. All right. So it's 3:16. Give us 2 minutes, and then we'll talk about what's to come in our evening shows. We're back at 3:18, and we're checking in with our 5 p.m. producer, Sloan Salerno. Hey, Sloan.
Hello.
What you got going on today?
All right, so we have Tia Ewing is going to do an update on that officer-involved shooting in Northwest Indiana. This one happened in Hammond, and it's actually the second officer-involved shooting in Northwest Indiana in less than a week. So this one happened just after midnight on I-80. They were trying to do a traffic stop, and then police say that there was a shootout, and the suspect ended up being killed, and the officer was injured. We're hearing the officer is supposed to be okay. And so she's going to give us an update on that. We're still waiting for more information from police on what exactly happened, but she's gathering together everything we know so far.
Yeah, what a shocker that they've had another one after Friday's incident at the hospital.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah.
And then another crazy story is what Leslie's on today. So it was over the holiday weekend. This was Saturday, middle of the day, 12:30. A woman was allegedly sexually assaulted in the LaBaugh Woods by a man, and so police have released a sketch of that person today, and so she is there. We're going to hear from her. She's trying to talk to people. You know, this woman was 29, just walking in the woods, and grabbed and attacked. So what can you do to stay safe? What are they doing to keep everyone else safe?
I mean, especially at a time like this when You do have more people who are going to be getting out and about, nicer weather, and I mean, sure, we could all assume that there's no safe place, right? But like, you would hope that you can just go for a walk and not have something horrible happen to you.
Yeah. And yeah, as it gets nicer out, like you said, more and more people are going to be out there. And so they're going to have to start, beefing up security or something. And so she's there giving us an update on all of that. And then we have Casey. And so a bunch of faith leaders and medical workers got together at the West Suburban Medical Center in Oak Park. They want the facility to fully reopen. It was in March that it shut down abruptly, saying that there was some issue with the computer system. And then they partially reopened it. They have like clinic and testing services back, but they want all of it open because most of it is still closed. And Resilience Healthcare is who owns this medical center. And they also owned Weiss Hospital, which, if you remember, it was last year that they shut down in August because they lost their Medicare funding. And so Casey's taking a look at kind of the big picture of this, with hospitals closing, what are residents supposed to do? What's the lasting impact on this? And so she's going to look into that today.
Yeah, that's such a nuanced story of what is going on with that group. For sure, yes, the impact on the patients. For sure, how far now do you have to travel? Is it not that far? Do you have if you're maybe going there for a specialist, is the specialist at the very next hospital, or now are you having to travel quite a ways? The income level in that area, does that allow for you to travel a long ways if that's needed? But then also, even I think I've heard some reports with doctors. Okay, well, if they reopen, do the doctors that left come back, or have they found employment somewhere else now? And so now do you have a staffing issue immediately if you do reopen?
Yeah, it's very complicated. It's it's not as simple as just, okay, we're back. Everyone come back in. And so there's so much to it. And so she's going to be digging into all of that. And then we have Dawn is looking into this. So today, a bunch of, I believe you guys talked about this, the union driver, they want to form a union, the rideshare drivers in Illinois. And so she's digging more into that. And then also today, Massachusetts rideshare drivers finalized their union. And so that's the first time it's ever happened. And so, what is the impact? What is that going to have on their push and everything like that? And then we have Brett, who is, of course, the Springfield session ends on Friday. And so the clock is ticking for them to approve, not approve that mega projects bill that would help the Bears. And there's that new analysis that it was basically saying that the bill would help the Bears. They would save, what is it, $53 million a year in property tax. Or instead of paying 53, they would pay 14. And so is that enough to get them to pass? What does that mean for the businesses that are in Arlington Heights? So Brett is in Arlington Heights. He's talking to the owners of Bird Nest. That's about a mile away from where the stadium would be. And from what I've heard from him, he said they're all for it. They think it'd be a great idea to have the Bears stadium there. And so that's going to be interesting to hear that whole angle of it as well.
It really is, because, we have focused a lot on the obvious, which is what the Bears want / need in order to stay in the state, and what they're being offered to cross the state line over Indiana. We focus so much on that, but they're now we're starting to get into more of the conversation about, okay, well, there's what the Bears need, but what does everybody else get or not get out of this deal? What are the implications for everyday homeowners like all the rest of us, and not just the mega project owner? There's a lot more there too to get into, and the clock is ticking.
It is really ticking. So who knows what's going to happen, but he's going to keep an eye on this for us all week, I'm sure.
Okay, all right, it's going to be the big talker. Sunday will be here before we know it. Most of us just got started with our weeks.
Yes, seriously.
Sunday will be here before we know it. Thank you, Sloan.
Thank you.
Oh, Sloan, did you go over your Across America?
Oh, okay. Nothing crazy in Across America today. We do have a kangaroo on the loose in Texas.
Nothing crazy.
So, yeah, nothing too crazy.
Just a
and
kangaroo
then
on
we
the
have
loose.
floodwater rescue. And so, yeah, we have a couple of those. And then the 4 actually has a fun story. So there's a lot of controversy over Ferrari. They made this electric vehicle and it goes like 192 miles per hour, can charge in 30 minutes, but it costs like $640,000. And so
300 was such a deal, you know.
Yeah, sorry, 300. That's chump change. 640. And so, yeah, I'm excited to hear Tia and Terrence talk about that one.
Oh my goodness. I mean, to go that fast anyway, you know, only a few people are going to get behind the wheel. Yeah, and I would think that 600,000 would be for a race car company so they can do whatever they want. I wonder how many like everyday it's not an everyday person, but still.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Just before I say it's not an everyday person, but.
Yeah.
How
but
many?
Yeah, I'm curious to know how much of like the general public, I guess.
Yeah, like how, you know, Corvette and maybe some others, sometimes when they do like a special edition, they only make a couple of them or something like that.
Yeah, I'm sure they're not.
How many they're even making.
Yeah, they probably are making, you know, less than 10 of these, I'm sure. Yeah. Whoever, making them to order, perhaps, yeah.
Well, yeah, because, again, it's only a few people.
Yeah.
that those are marketed to. Thank you so much, Sloan. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Bye.
All right, kangaroo on the loose. Nothing crazy, just a kangaroo on the loose, of course, in Texas. So much conversation about what's going on in Texas today. Let's take a quick break, everybody. We're gearing up for another conversation about our weather outside. You know, we have so many different things that are going on over the next few weeks that we're really going to hope that the weather cooperates with it all. But we've talked multiple times about the fact that, you know, we get like a real season and then faux seasons very often here in Chicago. And so now the question is, did we just get the real launch into summer? I mean, we usually say like Memorial Day weekend is the unofficial kickoff of summer. I definitely saw a lot of boats out yesterday and people on the beach. You know, we had some problems on the beach, but you know, I mean, there were people out everywhere. You don't see too many people out at the Bean right now. Just a few folks out there right now. And the sun isn't shining the way it was first thing today. So are we already answering the question upon us, which is, could we just not keep that summer feel that we had yesterday around for long? We're going to talk about what we can expect coming up soon with JD Rudd. I believe he's downstairs making his way upstairs right now. We'll find out from him what the forecast holds. I just heard the beep. There's the man. Give us 2 minutes and we'll be right back. All right, welcome back, everybody. 3:30 right now. JD Rudd is here, and I was like in the break, JD, was it just me or was it just more sunny before?
Yeah.
What's going on out there?
We had this higher level cloud cover from a storm system down to our south kind of blow its way in here. We were talking about this ad nauseum last night. I was trying to just make sure everybody knew that today wouldn't be as sunny as yesterday, but not a full-on cloudy day, not a lower level cloud like grungy gray day, but just more of a, it doesn't seem as sunny. It's a filtered sun. There it is, kind of a hazy, milky sun, and that's just all because of this thicker cirrus cloud cover higher aloft in the atmosphere. So it's kind of blocking out the sun a little bit, but it's not stunting our temperatures whatsoever. It is still plenty warm outside.
I love the view from our 2800 camera because it makes me think of Oz. That we are truly the Emerald City. When you look from the 2800 the 2800
you just
view,
go marching down the
truly
road
the
or take
Emerald
the boat
City.
in, whatever it is. Too many boats are parked out in those docks right now.
There are a lot of, but there were a lot of people out on their boats and on the beaches yesterday, especially. Now, look, when the weekend began, I was like, do I need to go play back my conversations with JD? Did he say it was going to feel like fall? Saturday, Friday and Saturday, it was like, okay, what do I wear? Because what is going on out here?
Yeah. We stair-stepped our way up. As expected, Saturday was going to be the cooler of the 3 days. Then Sunday was going to be the bigger jump, and then Monday was going to be the warmest day. The one thing that kind of got us, if you recall last week, we talked about a 20% chance of rain on Sunday. We got a widespread swath of rain, but it was in the morning, and it was gone by the afternoon. And what an afternoon turned out to be on Sunday.
Yeah. I mean, it steadily improved over the weekend for sure. But I even thought about like the music festivals that were going on.
Yes.
And I thought about obviously all of the guests that were in town for those festivals who probably did not pack jackets and pants. But the artists even, like going back and looking at their attire, I'm like, oh, I know you made a last minute stop and just threw that on. You needed a jacket. You didn't.
Yep. That's the beauty of this time of year when things come rolling through like that.
Yeah, I mean, but it seemed like folks were at least able to get out, have a good time this weekend. There were plenty of indoor and outdoor events for sure. So where do we go from here? I asked the question before you came in, is it faux summer or is it the real thing?
As I said a couple of times in the past week, I think we're going to have a prolonged warm stretch. And there's always a day or two in June where we take that step back and everyone goes, come on, really? And then we just go head first into it all. Because one thing, too, to kind of deviate and come back around to the question, it's been warm yesterday and today. But do you notice what it hasn't been? It hasn't been humid. It hasn't been very sticky and thick. It's you step outside and you go, oh, it's warm, but I'm not instantly sweating. This is okay. That's how you know we've made it to real summer. You step outside, it's warm, and you go, I feel like you breathe in, you go, the air is thick, I can tell.
Good point.
And that's what normally happens. We get this stretch here where it's warm, but it's not humid. We get that step back in temperature, everyone freaks out, and we go, what? And then here comes the warmth and the humidity, and suddenly we're going, oh gosh, okay, it's summertime. So we're going to get there eventually, but I think the next several days are going to be a stretch of delightful weather where it's not overly humid and it's comfortably warm, we're going to call it.
Comfortably warm before the uncomfortable humidity.
The sticky stuff that some folks don't like whatsoever.
All right, so that kind of covers what we're, and do we have any rain chances in the next few days?
No, and that's the bad thing, and that's what I think I have called up. I think I've got the satellite and the radar picture called up right now for a graphic to look at because it shows a couple different stories here. It shows the cloud blow off that we're getting from the storm system down to our south. That's the higher level clouds that we're getting. And then the insult to injury here is all that rain that's down there is not going to come our way. We're going to have rain basically everywhere around us over the next 7 days. It's going to rain to the south. It's going to rain to the north. It's going to rain well to our west, well to our east. Over the next 7 days, we pretty much have a 10% or less chance of rain, which for some folks, they're going, great. I mean, I made this comment yesterday. This is the time of the year. Maybe you've got deck staining to do or house painting or something where you need 3 or 4 dry, non-humid days in a row.
Get it done.
This is going to be the week or two to get it done. Flip side is we're getting more into planting season for those who have crops and fields. The gardeners out there going, hey, you know, these flowers get a little dry now. We need some moisture. You're going to have to break out the sprinklers and the hoses and kind of do it yourself over the next several days.
Okay. Now, as I'm kind of looking around, what else is going on out there? What are some of the other weather stories?
There's not much in terms of big-time stories right now, aside from there are portions of the panhandle of Florida that are getting some much-needed moisture. They've been in a drought.
Really?
Yes. Florida, which is normally very wet, has not seen much rain at all over the past couple of months. Very, very dry for them. They are getting a little bit of rain, again, the panhandle, the western part of the state, but not so much down in the peninsula of Florida. Meanwhile, we talked about this last week, the wildfires out west. They could use any drops of water, and they're not getting it. That stuff continues for them. There are no major severe weather outbreaks either on the table, and this is typically a big-time severe weather stretch, end of May into June for the central and southern plains. No signs of that. Very calm and quiet for them. And the East Coast just had a few days of rain. It kind of ruined their holiday weekend. They had rain every day.
I saw some stories over the weekend.
Yeah, it was not ideal for them, and now they're finally drying out from that, and they too quiet. So in terms of big disruptive weather, there's not much anywhere across the country right now. It's pretty status quo. For us, it's just going to be warm and quiet.
I saw, you made me think of it. I saw a video out of Dothan, Alabama.
Sounds about right.
Of a tornado that went through and hit a television station there while the meteorologist was on the air.
I did catch part of that earlier today. I didn't watch the full clip, but I saw something about that. Yeah.
I mean, just horror in his eyes as he's like literally doing his forecast, and he's like, and still trying to help people. You know, still trying to give life-saving information, but you know you are in danger at that moment.
I've been there myself when I worked in Wichita back in 2012. There's a viral clip somewhere on YouTube.
Really?
We didn't get hit by one, but the circulation was going right over the station, and where our studio was in addition to the building. It was a glorified tin shack, and we knew that. And we saw the radar, we saw where the rotation was going, and we went to shelter live on the air. We practiced what we preached, and it was one of those moments where it was a few minutes of chaos because myself and the chief meteorologist were going through the newsroom yelling at people, let's go to the basement, let's go now, this is not a drill, let's go, while we were still trying to be on the air and help people out. And it got a little bit scary for a few minutes because we lost part of the signal, lost part of the audio, and so for someone watching at home, they're like, did they get hit? What's going on? And thankfully we did not, but there have been other TV stations that have taken hits from those storms.
I think my second station was hit by a tornado that took us off the air. We actually had a station, like the larger market that was nearby, that came in to help us to broadcast for like the next week or so. Definitely the first 48 hours or so, 48, 72 hours that they were with us to help us. I was at home at the time, so you know, I got a phone call from them to say it's headed in your direction, but their building had the actual station had been hit. So yeah, very scary times when we always say, you know, when seconds count, and it's remarkable how quickly those things can spin up and cause damage.
100%. So yeah, that was the viral thing that happened with that station there this past couple of days. So it's good to have things settled, not have to deal with that kind of stuff for a while. But as I've been preaching too, let's not get complacent. For us here in the Chicagoland area, the more we get into June, that's kind of our prime season for severe weather. And I wouldn't be surprised if we have an active little stretch of weather probably around the middle part of June is what I'm guessing right now based on the longer term patterns that I'm seeing. So just be prepared. Don't get complacent. It can't stay quiet and gorgeous like this for forever. At some point we're going to get rocked a little bit, so we'll see how it all shakes out.
Well, we will take quiet as long as we can have it around here, but you are right. I mean, even the things that we had like in April, when we did have tornadoes in the state and in Indiana, you know, took lives. So it does show that you kind of always have to be prepared. Hope for the best, but be prepared for the worst.
Absolutely. Make sure you're ready to go, because you never know when things are going to change on a dime, and it could be your house, your neighborhood, or someone you know that gets impacted by one of these storms.
Yeah, a lot of those folks downstate are probably still in the cleaning up process from all of that. Yeah. All right. Thank you so much for coming up. We will get you back downstairs so you can get ready for the 4 o'clock, or we'll just keep chatting. You know.
I'm fine with that. I'm not in charge. I'll go wherever you need me.
3:40, everyone. Give us 2 minutes. We'll be back. right, welcome back, everyone. Just about 3:45, so it's time for our final conversation of the day here on Chicago Live. And it's quite interesting. I think I've said that about a few things. We've had some good discussions today about some things that you just don't think of off the top of your head. But do you remember when we just had TVs that weren't smart? When you had to put the tinfoil, or where you had to move the antennas, to get them to do what you needed them to do. I remember that very well. And then you just those TVs go by the wayside. You start to get TVs that do so many other things, and they get smarter and smarter along the way. They're like computers now at this point in time, but that doesn't mean that people aren't searching for the old thing, to get the old thing back. Andrew Randall is joining us now. He is with us to talk about a big sale of vintage TVs and CRT monitors that are attracting people, and let's talk about the reason why. Thank you so much for being here.
Yeah, thanks for inviting me.
Do you have, let me start with, do you have one of these old TVs?
Well, unfortunately, I have probably around 20.
20. Okay, and that's one sitting next to you?
Yeah, this is an old Commodore clone made by Magnavox. There's many different types of CRTs, and this is more used for old school computing.
Old school computing, and it sounds like old school gaming?
Yeah, that's probably the most well-known area of collecting these.
So what is it about? Again, we've come so far from those TVs. What makes us go back to those for gaming or computing?
Well, there's multiple reasons. Obviously, nostalgia is a massive driving factor in any collectible. But in this case specifically, they have a distinct look, and they also have a basically instant response time because it's an analog device as opposed to the digital devices we use nowadays.
Very interesting. Okay, so is it specific games that are better on those, or what like if I'm getting, we were talking earlier about GTA 6. Would that work whenever it finally comes out? Would that work on one of those?
Yeah, that's actually an excellent question, because many people don't even know that you can play modern games just as easily on VGA CRT monitors as any old games, because there's basic adapters. You can convert the HDMI signal into a VGA signal with no delay at all, and yeah, you can get the benefits of playing on a CRT with modern games.
And you said because it's analog, it's faster. Is that right?
Essentially, yes. There's probably multiple reasons, but yeah, there's also other benefits like no motion blur. There's like you get on modern displays. They have this technology, a new technology called black frame insertion on modern displays that tries to mitigate that a little bit, but the lack of motion blur is much superior in these old devices. Yeah.
Okay, so how much are people paying to go back in time?
Well, actually, when you compare it to other collectibles, I would say they're still pretty undervalued, especially considering they degrade very quickly over time because they have capacitors that are aging obviously pretty dramatically at this point for decades. We're talking decades ago. Yeah.
But give me some ballpark estimates, like how much some of these TVs are going for.
Okay, so there's various categories. The older monitors, like this one just behind me, they're probably not quite as valuable as like a different category, like a PVM, which is a professional video monitor, which is what you might use in like a older news station. Actually, many of those old PVMs come from like news stations.
Hmm.
And those yeah, you wanted a ballpark. So
Mm-hmm.
so PVMs might go into the thousands, you know, you might, or even a BVM, which is called a broadcast monitor. It's a little bit higher resolution than typical PVM, and those might go up to like, you know, $5,000-6,000.
Wow. But then they are older machines. Who's fixing them?
Well, that's another great question. Probably just enthusiasts like me who just really find them incredibly interesting and have the time to go and look and figure out how to fix them. And obviously, parts are incredibly hard to come by, but capacitors are readily available, and so you can typically fix. And another commonly failing part is transistors. You can typically fix most of them. Some obviously you're not going to be able to because they don't make tubes anymore, but B, the flyback transformers are very hard to come by.
Okay, what is maybe the hardest to come by, the most requested, the most hunted, TV, vintage TV that people are looking for? The Holy Grail.
The Holy Grail. Well, basically, no matter what I tell you, I'll get flack for, because, like I said, there's different categories of CRTs. It's a very broad collectible, and I would say probably some of the BVMs or PVMs like the M series Sonys are very popular. But when you're talking consumer sets, maybe the JVC-D series or a Trinitron XBR. You know, like I said, there's multiple categories, and if I don't cover them all, we'll get attacked online.
We don't want you getting attacked. It's not that serious, for sure. Okay, so I'm seeing that there's like a warehouse where people try to get all of these.
Well, in this particular case, yeah. So there's this like sort of widespread scam or scheme where somebody will open up a fake recycling business like e-waste recycling and essentially collect money from people who are trying to get rid of their old CRTs, and then they'll fill up an entire warehouse, and then they'll just ghost the warehouse owner and not pay the rent or whatnot. So they'll be left with all the, you know, unpaid bills and all that, and a warehouse full of CRTs that they can no longer rent out. And I would encourage anybody out there who owns a warehouse that's in this scenario to go and find somebody in the CRT community, because not only they're gonna help you get rid of them, but they might even give you money to get rid of them. And you know, it's a big nightmare for these warehouse owners, and it's a very little known issue. Yeah, contact your local CRT enthusiasts, maybe on Reddit. In this case, like our CRT Gaming is where I hang out usually. Yeah, but so this is one of those cases where I got in contact with the warehouse owner who had this issue, and I decided we're gonna have a big event, big sale.
Okay, so in your opinion, is it one of those like all things old become new again? Should we never have ventured out into where we are now with TVs and games where they are now? Should we have stayed in that era? Or, does everything just kind of have its place?
Well, that's like such a good question, and obviously I'm biased, and I would say, yeah, there's definitely like a massive room for potential investment or risk into, you know, maybe opening up a new tube manufacturer, and because they offer benefits that you just cannot get from, you know, these flat screen modern displays we have. I have my own OLED screens, and they're basically the top tier right now, but there's so much that CRTs can offer that a modern display cannot. And I think it's a big unexplored area of investment for sure.
Andrew, do you have a VCR?
I don't actually. I'm not so much into VCRs now, but many people who own CRTs are.
Just had to ask, like, do you embrace it all, or is it just this one thing?
Yeah, I would say, it's funny you said that, because I would say, me personally, I'm not very driven by nostalgia in this case. So, and maybe most people who are into CRTs are driven by nostalgia. But no, I like their practical use.
Okay, so what's your favorite game to play on them?
Well, I don't play games as much as I used to, but I mean, you could play anything on them, like from modern games, like I said, to old school games. My personal favorite game, I maybe Final Fantasy Tactics.
Okay, all right. I'm taken by these things. Like I said, we were having a conversation earlier about like the next frontier for some of the games, and now having this conversation about something that it seems like it was so long ago, but if I walked in a house and I saw one of those TVs, I'd be like, have you guys had this the whole time? Did you just buy this? I'd have a lot of questions for them. But but now that I know they're kind of, a hot thing in some circles, now I know a little something. So I'm seeing there's something happening on June 20th. Tell me about that.
Yeah, that'll be our big warehouse sale in Fitchburg, Massachusetts. Yeah, if you guys want details on that, like if any viewers want details, I should say, go to r/CRT Gaming on Reddit, and you'll see our posts there. Yeah, you're all welcome to come. There's going to be over 1,000 CRTs for cheap.
Okay, I'm hearing some people in this building are making plans, literally making plans to come out there. So, wow. Thank you so much for enlightening us today.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
All right, you take care and have a good time on June 20th.
Thank you, I will.
All right, take care. It is mind-boggling, all of the different things that we're getting into these days, whether it's the things that take us into the unknown or the things that take us back to what we knew decades ago. Very interesting time we're in. It's 3:56 though, speaking of time, so give us 2 minutes and we'll be back to close out the show. Welcome back, everyone. 3:58 right now. Thank you so much, as always, for joining us here on Chicago Live each and every weekday. I know today kind of feels like a Monday for those of us who were off yesterday, but we're super excited about a 4-day work week, and we're hoping that you'll be here with us throughout the week. We're always here from 1 to 4 p.m., so we'll see you right back here tomorrow.
I mean, at least there are no dead bears in this story or raccoon penises. Just a couple of snakes still alive. For now. We'll see you tomorrow.
Live from Chicago, this is Fox 32 News at 4.
And a few things getting attention right now. Traffic stop turned deadly on I-80. What's next for the investigation?
Who is the man in the sketch? Police are looking for a suspect involved in a sex assault in the Forest Preserve.
And imagine the one place you